Shaq and Justin Thomas, apparently. A co-design. Panther National, I believe the course is.
All right.
And they're playing, of course, millionaires playing for more millions. Not
why not?
High drama.
Absolutely. I'm sure they're having a great time.
And there was a bit of drama, though. I know Lowry made a putt on top of Keegan at one point and said, I've been spending the last few months breaking Keegan Bradley's heart.
That's a good line.
Rubbing it in.
And he's right. I guess he hit the defining putt.
Yeah.
Right? He was the one that knocked it in at Bethpage Black.
That's right.
Yeah,
that was a nice surprise.
I didn't know that was going down.
Neither did I.
Because I think, isn't Scheffler playing McIlroy or something? Like, is
that
something
today
going
too?
on? I have no idea.
I don't know.
Like, golf is so far off the beaten path. Yet, I would watch if I knew about it. Like today is a day of how do you market yourself?
Yes.
Like when the NFL yesterday obviously owned everything, and you have to have an appreciation for the fact that every other league just said, we're not doing anything today.
Don't even try.
Not trying. It's your day.
Yeah.
And then the NFL today brilliantly said, we'll sneak back in today. And they're playing right now, Bears and Eagles. So that is still going to take up a lot of the energy. But the NHL's playing, the NBA's playing, golf is trying to squeeze in. Like every American's just sitting at home, I guess, today.
That's what I mean.
It used to be you had to actually go out like to malls and stuff and shop.
On Black Friday.
Yeah, on Black Friday. Like there was actually one day you could go out there and get stuff.
Now the only people working are the Amazon delivery guys.
Yeah. Like, is there even a point in going anywhere? It's this. I think you'd like to believe there's still some, finance going on out there. There's still interaction and malls are alive.
Bricks and mortar interaction.
Exactly. Mums and pop shops are alive, in different spots around the U.S. But I get the impression, I know from my own experience, like it's just, click on this. Like I'm not an online shopper, but my wife, everything she gets basically is online.
Yes.
The only time she goes back somewhere is if she has to return something.
You know what? I got the same problem. Is the online shopping is all my family does. And the problem now is we were victims of the porch pirate epidemic.
Did you get hit by that?
We've been hit by the porch pirates at some point.
No way.
So now we don't get the stuff delivered to the house very often because we're often not home during the day. So now I spend all my time at these little pickup depots.
Right.
Some of which are in very shady convenience stores in parts of Toronto that I generally would not be kind of hanging out in.
Always the best.
Yeah, it's great.
Always so great when you're in there. And you're like, is everything on the up and up in here?
Doesn't
We got
like
you
it.
carried away. We got you.
They
we
just
got
got
you
like a
taken
pile
care
of. They got a pile of packages in the corner.
Yeah.
And like you show up with your little text on your phone that says, "I got a package here," and they like rifle through a million packages. It feels like they could all be stolen. Like if the clerk turns his head for 1 minute.
Yeah.
Like it would be a porch convenience store pirate bonanza.
Right.
Where you could steal the entire inventory of Amazon out of one convenience store. But that's how it's running now. Everything's run through the convenience store.
And we just got ourselves a deal. The Postal Service, and they've been going back and forth for almost 2 years.
Are they now? Are they back?
My understanding is they came to a conclusion, and I think what is going to be happening is like individual mailboxes and all that gone in the future. And in the suburbs, it's been like that for a long time.
Right.
We have the kind of community boxes.
Do you have a mailbox at your place?
Yeah, no. So
No.
we have the community mailbox. Okay. But growing up, I did. My parents still do. It was always like, open the slot and throw it in. Like that.
Yeah.
That was the old school. That's the way Toronto Mail has gone forever.
We still have one in the old city, but maybe it's going away.
My understanding is that that's coming even for like the city and stuff like that, which I don't know where they're going to place them. Like there's not a ton of room in the city.
No, there's not.
For all these like community mailboxes, but apparently that could be a part of the future. And maybe that, like eventually something's going to have to give with where we're going with home delivery.
Yes.
Like to your point, like anti-theft, like at some point something's going to have to give where there's some way to kind of avoid it or,
someone was telling
a
me,
safe haven for it all.
Someone was telling me if you buy a new house now, if you buy like a fairly high-end new house, a lot of them have these little like locker systems where the delivery guy can open the locker, put the package in, close the locker. You can get at it from the inside, but they can't get at it from the outside. Like that's that's apparently where it's heading.
Like a safe room almost.
Yeah. Like a little door. Like apparently, I'm old enough to remember when people used to get milk delivered to their house.
My parents' house, they still have it on the side of their house.
The little milk door.
The best.
Yeah. So this is a milk door with like a lock.
Yeah.
It locks as soon as like you can open it to put the package in, but once you close it and the package is in there, it locks.
Okay.
And then, you can access your package from the inside. But like the average person ain't getting that.
Well, that's the whole thing, exactly. Like I don't know. We'll see. But it is Black Friday, and I don't know if anyone actually goes anywhere anymore. And sales started like a week ago. Everything's like the before Black Friday sale. Right. It's like the actual day of means nothing.
Are the prices better on Black Friday?
I don't know. And isn't there Cyber Monday? There's all these different days now. It's tough to follow everything. But again, we got a lot of games in action. We got the football game. We got hockey games currently going on. The Leafs are going to drop the puck in about an hour on TSN. And I guess William Nylander woke up today not feeling well. Now he's not playing.
Oh boy.
So Willie's out. And Willie had a strange game the other night because he did not have a good game, yet primary assist on the tying goal, and he wins it in overtime. Yes. And for a team that is struggling and needs all the help they can get, missing out on him is pretty significant.
He's been carrying them a lot.
He has offensively, for sure.
Yeah.
His numbers are staggering.
Offensively, and he's also been carrying on the conversation with the coach.
Yeah. Which I do wonder where, like, if that ever boils over, or when is Berube going to start going at someone else other than Willie.
Right.
Like, he obviously has taken on Nylander as like a project of his that he's going to try to get him to play a certain way, and it's in certain areas of the ice. He's not yelling at him about making plays in the offensive zone, clearly, because Willie would look at him and laugh at him, and should, and say, pardon, Craig, you're telling me what to do here when it comes to a 2-on-1?
Right.
Or, open ice in the offensive zone? No, thank you. But, I don't recall the last time he went at Austin or went at John Tavares or went at Morgan Riley or went at any of the other longstanding Leafs who have not exactly been phenomenal, every single game that they've played under Craig Berube.
Yeah.
But it's always Willie.
It is always.
And it's like heated between the two of them.
And maybe it's because Willie is maybe one of the only guys who gets that type of abuse or that type of constructive criticism, whatever you want to call it, and has the standing within the club and the contract security and plus just the flat-out ego to give it right back, which appears to be what's going on most of the time, right? It's not a one-way conversation.
No, it's not. Willie's standing up for himself, whether he should be or shouldn't be, and we don't know the context of what's being talked about.
Well, we can generally guess.
We got a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
Bad defense. Like the game against L.A. was pretty obvious. Like he was standing still while they were scoring goals.
Right.
That one seemed pretty obvious why Berube was yelling at him. The other night, I'm not sure exactly what happened, but I'm sure it was something of the same, like a similar context. Wasn't in the right position, wasn't picking up his man, wasn't finishing a check, whatever it was.
Well,
but listen, Willie, his offensive ability is at this point second to none on the team.
Yes.
Like Austin isn't at the same level as William Nylander right now offensively. And yes, John Tavares has been great, but John is a meat and potatoes offensive player.
Right.
Like Tavares going to the front of the net and bashing and crashing and banging and finding a way to tip a puck or pick up a rebound. And that's what he does very well, and he's continuously doing it well. But in terms of game-breaking offensive ability, that's never been Tavares' game. But Willie's got it. Austin has had it throughout his career, but it hasn't happened really this year. It didn't happen a lot last year. And yet you look at the game today, Washington is playing a lot better. Joseph Wall is going. I'm a little bit surprised by that. Like I think conventional wisdom would suggest the starter goes the first game, but it's a 5 o'clock start. He got a lot of action the other night, basically won them the game. And they're in Pittsburgh tomorrow, so I guess Hildeby will get that start because Stolarz isn't even on the road trip.
No.
Like they're on the road for the next 7-8 days. Stolarz isn't even with the team, which at some point they're going to have to give. I'm not holding my breath, but you'd like to believe they'll give more of an accurate assessment of what's going on with Stolarz. Not in their DNA, has not been something they've done recently, but we'll see. But Wall goes today. Willie's out. You play the hits, you go back to the big guy. And Matthews, I think he got the rust off the other night. He's going to have himself a game tonight.
It wouldn't hurt.
Yes. It would be very, very nice if Austin had a defining moment this year because I don't think he's had one yet.
No, he hasn't. That's been the huge problem with this team is that the guy who's your captain, the guy who is supposed to be the superior athlete, the guy who was making the case as one of the best players on the planet, if not, 1A to Connor McDavid at his height, which is a long time ago when you think back to it, it hasn't been anything close to that, Hayes. And it's a massive concern for the Maple Leafs because there's no answer for that, right? Like, clearly, we were told that the offseason arrest would be enough to get him back to where he wants to be. And we haven't seen Matthews back to where we remember him being at the height of his powers. And it's starting to make you wonder, like, is that even possible anymore?
Man, I hope so. Like, I hope so, but that's where I'm at. Like, I would have said, and I said countless times throughout the summer, definitively, this guy's going to come back like a rocket.
Yeah.
Like, I was bracing for it. I was looking forward to it. I couldn't wait to see it's probably unfair to call it a redemption tour. It was a one year injured. He's been in the league for 9 years. He's had a great career. Okay. You had your 1 year. It was a bad year. It's not as if he's been, 2, 3, 4 years deep where you're waiting for this guy to have some miracle resurgence. But I thought he would come out, chase a Hart Trophy, win the Rocket, and reestablish himself as the man. And prior to the injury, he had not done that. The injury being out for more than 2 weeks clearly didn't help. And the other night, again, he was good. He was fine, but it wasn't rock star stuff.
No.
And I'm to a point now where I'm hoping it can happen, because it would be unfortunate if it just if he transitions into the next stage of his career, which does happen. It just puts such an emphasis on everyone else to be so much better. And that's the thing about the core four. For as long as it's been, you could always rely on them because they were young and they were productive and they were predictable. And everything else was interchangeable. And obviously, you look back on it now, the way they were wired in the playoffs wasn't good enough, and the depth that they had wasn't good enough. That's why they only got out of the first round twice in 9 years. But you could rely on those guys during the regular season. You could rely on them to be so good, so productive, so dominant, take over games, literally win games on their own, to the point where it allowed you to look at a third or fourth line and say, it's not great. It might cause problems in the second round, but in November, it's no problem. If he can't get back to that top 10 player in the world status, it just puts an emphasis on everyone else to be so much better.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if they have the capability of doing that. Like, then all of a sudden, Easton Cowan's really got to be good.
Yes.
Like, he's really got to be a player. Nick Waugh's got to really be a player. And John Tavares can't look 35 at any point throughout this run. And it puts a lot of pressure on them. So I'm not to the point where I'm going to definitively say, and I don't think anyone should, definitively say, the best years of Matthews are behind him, or his ability to completely dominate stretches of games or stretches of a season are completely behind him. But I am at a point where I'm at a hold. I'm not buying, I'm not selling. If it's a stock, I'm holding the stock.
Yeah.
I'm not bullish, I'm not bearish, but I'm like, you got to kind of let me see where this goes before I jump off or jump back on a bandwagon.
Right, exactly. No, yeah, I think that's a fair way to look at it, because look, we're just watching what we see here. I'm not I don't have
rooting against them at all.
Rooting against them. In fact, it was that's what I was saying yesterday, like watching this guy through his rise, doing what he was doing with pucks and beating goaltenders in a way we hadn't seen it certainly in Toronto before. And because the Leafs had never had a goal scorer like that, and very few teams in this league ever have had a goal scorer like that in the history of this league. So it was a lot of fun to watch it, and it was a lot of fun to see it on a nightly basis, practice and games. Problem now, Hayes, is like you wonder about it because 28 years old, the kind of the numbers have just been flagging. And it's to me, it's like you look at everything. Like it's the explosiveness that's flagging. It's the two-way dominance that's flagging. It's not just the shot. It's not just, but it's just a list of stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Like and then there's also just the idea of the force of personality. Like you were named the captain last year, right? And have you really put an imprint on this team as the captain? Like did that change anything? Like you had John Tavares as captain one day, the next day you got Austin Matthews as captain. Brendan Shanahan believed that would change something. Brendan Shanahan did that for a reason, right? And what was the reason? And has there been any real effect to that? Is my question.
Well, it doesn't have a different feel or tone.
There's no outward evidence that there is a difference with Austin Matthews as captain, and that to me, that's massively concerning.
Well, I think in large part because like his personality hasn't changed. His approach hasn't changed, but his game has fallen off ever since he became captain. But You're right. In terms of like something tangible you can point to and say this is different now because the letter's on his chest instead of the other guys.
Right. So what was that all about? It's just a bad call? Was it,
I guess it was making up for what I may have been making up for a mistake, his own mistake. He put himself in that spot when Babcock was here and he got in legal trouble, and that caused a big problem. And I think also Babcock, I think, was pushing for Tavares, and there was obviously they look back on the Babcock run differently now, clearly.
Yeah, everybody does.
Everybody does. And I think maybe it was a mulligan for Shanahan where he's like, man, that's always what I dreamt of, this guy being the young captain, just like every other young superstar gets to be. Like McKinnon did, like McDavid did, like Sid did, like Ovi did. It was just natural, and they just didn't do that for him.
Yeah.
And who knows? Maybe that was a part of, maybe it was an issue in the background. I don't know. Like maybe it was something that was always kind of hanging around the relationship. Like, why aren't I should be the captain. Yeah. Why aren't I the captain? When are you going to give me the captaincy? And maybe there was some uncertainty on what the future of Tavares was going to look like. Will he still even be with the team? Mm-hmm. Do you want a captain just leaving the team? Now it turns out he stayed and they worked out a deal, and the rest is history on that front. But that could have been complicated. When was the last time a captain just didn't sign with a team?
Yeah.
Maybe because the team either didn't want him or he decided I want too much money or going somewhere else. I don't have a reference I can use right now. But, yeah, listen, there's a lot of pressure on the guy. Like, there should be pressure on the guy.
Yeah.
Based on where this team is right now. Now he's healthy. He's the captain. He's got the legacy at stake. Depth guys are going to come and go. He has been chasing all-time great Leaf, all-time great American player, and that's what's on the line here for him.
Yeah.
Because through 9 years, he had established best goal scorer in Leaf history. He's going to own all those records. In very short order. Arguably biggest, superstar, first guy to win the Hart in forever, Rockets, rookie of the year, something that never happened. Like he sent so many benchmarks that no one prior to him had ever done. And now, and again, on the American side, same thing. Like they're going to the Olympics for the first time in his career. I presume he'll be the captain again. I don't know if they've announced that. I don't think they have.
I don't think they have.
But he was the captain of the Four Nations, had a chance to do something great, couldn't beat Binnington in overtime, had multiple great chances. That could have been a defining moment for him.
I wonder how that changes, right? How does that change his outlook on life, the way he walks, the way he thinks about himself, the way other people think about him, if he scores one of those shots, right?
Yeah.
If one of those shots goes in, he had plenty of chances.
Man, grade A++. And Binnington robbed them multiple times.
If he leads the U.S. to that win, does it change anything? Now, the flip side is, I remember a lot of people saying, well, now that Marner's made the big play, set up the winning goal, will that take the weight off him in pressure situations? Will that make him a different player
right
at nut-cutting time?
And it didn't.
And in games 5 and 7 against the Panthers, we found out it didn't.
Right. And I think the answer to that would have been it was not going to change anything in Toronto for him, but it would have possibly changed his profile in the States.
Yeah.
And this is a big opportunity for him. Like, a lot of Americans do not pay attention to hockey other than when they get to the Olympic Games. Like, TJ Oshie is a household name down there because he was great in shootouts.
That's right.
They didn't win gold. He scored a bunch of shootout goals, and everyone was like, oh, this guy's Wayne Gretzky. Greatest player ever. People in Florida and Georgia and Arizona, hey, who's this guy? Wow, TJ Oshie, he must be unbelievable. Like, and if you're the captain of the American team, if they find a way to win a gold medal over there, which is definitely possible, it's a huge moment for his profile in the U.S.
Yes.
Massive moment for his profile.
That's a good point. Because you're right. Like, TJ Oshie is, like, that moment in Sochi in American hockey terms, just like the average sports fan in the States that watches probably NFL, college football, first and second, and
then
everything
2
else.
weeks of the Olympics every 2 years.
Like that. He's got, like, in terms of the hockey players they would be aware of, he would probably be in that conversation. They might know, they obviously know Gretzky if they're of a certain age. They probably have heard of McDavid, but they know TJ Oshie because of that one moment in Sochi.
NBC on a loop. Yeah. Bob Costas interview. Come sit down with me. Wow, I can't believe that.
You're right. And you're right. That you can't underestimate how big that, like, TJ Oshie's still living off that. He dines off that to this day, right?
Yeah, he's an analyst now. He had a great career. He's a really good player.
But I mean, his career in that moment,
he was a depth player on the American team.
Things.
Yeah, depth player on the American team. I mean, he won a cup in Washington. I don't think that's not what a lot of average Americans who don't watch hockey would ever know or reference.
No.
Not, hey, he won it with Ovi, and remember that. It's Sochi. And
TJ Sochi.
Yeah, and that's it. And listen, he's not alone. The Kachuk brothers, I'm sure, are aware of it. And I don't know what it means to Matthews. I don't know what it means to any of the individual players. But it's got the potential for a big boost and a big boom. Again, it won't have any effect on Toronto necessarily.
Well, you hope it will if it's for the positive, right? You hope that there's a swagger there that can be kind of renewed because, you don't see it enough anymore.
Now, if he's not playing great for the Leafs and they're sinking, then he goes over there and is unbelievable and wins a gold. Some Leaf fans would be like, hey, where's this been during the regular season?
Unless he comes over and carries it forward.
Yes.
Right? And says, okay, now I found something.
That would remember. There's no downside to that.
No.
If you're a Leaf fan, again, outside of if they beat Canada in doing so, clearly. Like if you're a Canadian and a Leaf fan, you're rooting for Canada, obviously. But the guy, he's due for a moment like that. Like he needs a moment like that. Like it just... Every do or die game, he's lost in his career.
Yeah.
And Marner had prior to that game as well. Now, Marner has junior success, and not the same at a pro level. But, yeah, we'll see what he's got because it's a big one today in Washington. Then they're in Pittsburgh tomorrow, and this will be tested.
Well, yeah.
Because where's your body at? How you feeling? You just played a lot of minutes the other night. Now you're going an early game, then a game tomorrow, travel involved. They're on the road. Then it's Carolina, Florida. Like they got a big week ahead of them.
Well, that's the thing
about
the
Habs at home on next Saturday night, where they're ideally looking for redemption, considering what happened 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, we had to do the mercy pull for Joseph Wall, and you got embarrassed in Montreal. I mean, that was brutal. But the point you make about Matthews comes back into the lineup after a long absence and plays big minutes. Tavares is playing big minutes. It speaks to this depth problem they've got right now, right? And we're gonna see a little bit of it today with Willie out. Dakota Joshua comes back into the lineup after he's a healthy scratch in Columbus. But this is a guy, you talk about best laid plans. Remember the offseason, Hayes, when they signed this guy or got this guy on the team, and there was all this talk about Dakota Joshua, a perfect Craig Berube player. Mm-hmm. Right? I remember talking to Bruce Boudreau, who'd coached him in Vancouver, said, this guy hits like a truck. He's a forechecker. He works his butt off. He's got decent hands. He can bang in pucks. We've seen, he's leading the team in hits, but do you remember a big Dakota Joshua hit?
No. Always a second late. Puck's gone, then he throws a hit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you would like to believe he's wired tonight. I think with Willie out, this may have saved Max Domi. There's a chance Domi was coming out. Can he salvage this opportunity? Is he even aware that it was that close? Who knows? Because he was given a big opportunity the other night, and I don't think he took advantage of it. So we'll continue to look ahead of the game tonight, again on TSN4. We're tracking the NFL game. Luke is coming up. We'll get into what happened last night. Lamar Jackson does not look anything close to himself. He hasn't thrown a touchdown in 3 games, 3 turnovers yesterday. The fumble's killing him. And what a performance by the Bengals, to their credit. That's a big win. Joe Burrow looked really good last night, really comfortable. And the Ravens, who's going to win the AFC North? It's a legitimate question right now because the Ravens look fraudulent. I know they've won games recently, but they were brutal last night.
You talk about a team that was billed as a Super Bowl contender that is just, face planted in the biggest way possible. And I guess not unlike the Leafs in some ways, health may be the underlying reason. If Lamar Jackson just can't run anymore, we did have some pretty decent.
He was moving a little bit last night.
He moved pretty well at times, but he just did not throw the ball well. He did not make good decisions. But yeah, there's you go from being MVP candidate on an annual basis to being this. He's not that guy anymore.
No, he's not right now.
Not right now.
And you look at the Chiefs lose yesterday. Now they're in serious trouble. The Bills keep losing. Those 3 have been the pillars of the AFC. And those 3 quarterbacks, you're like, well, one of them's going to win the one of them's going to win the MVP. None of them are going to win the MVP right now. There's a chance Allen can play his way into it. Mahomes, there's a slight chance if they win out now, and he's just out of this world.
Probably had to win last night.
Probably had to win yesterday. Yep, and it didn't happen. So credit to Dallas, Green Bay, Cincinnati. We're tracking Bears, Philly. Luke coming up. More picks. Al's brother will join us. Emily Kaplan on the show today. We'll get to Jack. The Raptors are off today. They're through the NBA Cup. They don't have to play NBA Cup games.
How about that?
4-0, feet up, ready to rock. In Charlotte tomorrow, in New York, playing the Knicks on Sunday. Big game. So Jack will join us in about an hour. Overdrive continues, TSN 1050 and on the TSN app. Mail It In Friday is brought to you by Boston Pizza's NFL Game Day Menu. Stop by your local BP for $7 touchdown pints, dialed-in shareables, and weekly prizing up for grabs. football game days are better at BP. We're currently in the midst of a football game day right now. Bears up 10-3 on the Eagles at the half. Philly fans handling it very well.
Oh, my gosh. You'd never know these are two 8-3 teams.
And that one of them won the Super Bowl last year. Like, I'm watching video out of fans in Philly. They're going nuts.
Anybody that thinks Toronto is a pressurized sports market, Brad Marchand and Matthew Tkachuk and Paul.
Oh, yeah, it's so tough.
Telling us how hard we are on the Maple Leafs and how the pressure is beaten into these guys and how can they possibly play in that hellhole of a pressure cooker that they call Toronto. Try being a football player or a football coach in Philadelphia.
Yeah. Go down to Philly.
Come on.
See how that works out.
I mean, it's not even close.
No. Leading the NFC East, won the Super Bowl last year, getting booed because they're losing by a touchdown at half.
Wants the coach fired again. They wanted him fired last year when he won the Super Bowl.
Sirianni's a bum. Get him out of there.
I mean, it is absolutely off the charts.
All right. Here's Luke Willson.
If you smell what the Rock is cooking.
What the Rock is cooking. What the Rock is cooking. What Luke Wilson's cooking. You got to get on your A game there, JP. After you won a Super Bowl, did you guys hear any boos the next season in Seattle?
That we did not. We did start a bit slow the next year, but righted the ship, and yeah, we did not. Philly, I heard you guys talking. Philly is a special place in that sense. I remember, don't quote me on the year, but it was probably like 2015, 2016, somewhere in there. We went to Philly. Might actually been later than that, but we went to Philly, and I remember walking in, coming out for the pregame stuff, and everyone's running their mouths. We come out as a team for the game, and we're getting absolutely smoked. Philly was not great that year, and after the first quarter, we were getting after them, and it was the first and only time in my NFL career where I had seen, like, I'm talking, we were 9, 10 minutes into the game, and all the guys that were heckling us started heckling their own team. It was hilarious for me.
I love it.
I'm like, these guys are killing us. And 9 minutes in, they're like, all right, we're done with Seattle. We're going after our own guys.
As they should. Like, they take, that's just how they operate now. Like, a lot of it, I think, is shtick.
Yeah.
It's just like that's what we're supposed to do in Philly. We boo Santa Claus, and that's how we operate. But that said, I mean, that offense in Philly, Jalen Hurts, like this guy, talking about his career is wild, and he's still likely going to play in the league for another decade. Been to 2 Super Bowls, won a Super Bowl MVP, was phenomenal in the Super Bowl last year. And yet it feels like, again, in Philly and elsewhere, people look at him and say, I just don't know what this guy's all about. Like, unless Saquon Barkley is running for 2,000 yards, can this guy perform? Can he play? His wide receivers always look pissed off. Where does he rank for you? How would you define the season and the career of Jalen Hurts?
I mean, the season has been awful. That's just like the reality. You look at even this first half, and I don't know how much you guys are paying attention, but Tony Gonzalez is talking about there's a play where Goddard's going right down the middle of the field, and it's the issue I have is when you break down film, there's a lot of times where you're like, oh, this guy's wide open. Why didn't the quarterback see him? And the difference between when that happens the majority of the time in the NFL is it's a bust on the defense that you might not necessarily be in your progression, or it's the third guy in your progression, or the defensive structure says you should be looking A to B, and the guy who's C just killed somebody and you missed that. But what's tough for me about Jalen Hurts is it's like what's supposed to be his first read on a lot of these things is wide open, and he doesn't get it done. Even, this game's 10-3, and it feels a lot worse. But there's a play earlier, it's a third down, where they have everything they want. It's the perfect play call, and Devontae Smith, is wide open, and he misses them. It's Devontae tries to reach back, one hand, can't get it done. If you look at that, bare minimum, he's probably catching that and getting down to the 5, maybe gets in if he makes a man miss, and instead you're settling for 3 points. And again, it's just so frustrating. The weird thing about Jalen Hurts is you go back to last year's Super Bowl, and you're like, man, this guy is one of the best in the league. And then the next week, you're like, this guy is one of the worst in the league. And it's really that dramatic.
Luke, we watched last night with, real strong attention because it's Thanksgiving game and waiting for Lamar Jackson, the MVP that we've come to know, to show up in Baltimore. And there was no sign of that guy that I could see. And What do you know? Joey Burrow comes back from injury and leads the Bengals to an unlikely blowout win over a team that a lot of people had as preseason Super Bowl favorites. Like, how did Baltimore fall off the rails this badly, this quickly?
Yeah, I do wonder if there's something going on with Lamar's hamstring slash health. Uh, since coming back, he just doesn't seem like the exact same guy as far as like the electricity on the field. And he doesn't seem comfortable back there. I mean, the turnovers yesterday, generally Lamar has like a great feel in the pocket, knows when to escape, knows when he's got to kind of tuck it, take a sack, whatever. And it's like yesterday, there were some bad turnovers. And I also thought it was a very tough day for Todd Monken, their offensive coordinator, where it's like, I'm looking at that game yesterday, and I think HBO, Hayes, Bro, and O, is that what you guys call yourself now?
It might be changing after this week. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, all of us, we're currently as a collective over, and it looks like we're going to continue that trend today.
Horrendous. It's the O-Dog, man. And if he's associated with anything right now, it's poison. Okay, stinks.
Yeah. So, but I look at that and I go, okay, you got a very weak run defense in Cincinnati. That first drive, you get the big scamper there by Henry. He goes and scores a touchdown. And then you're like, why isn't Henry playing more? Why doesn't he have more carries? Like, what is going on? So it was a tough day, I thought, from a play calling perspective there. Zay Flowers had 1 yard going into the final few minutes of the game in which he caught an 8-yard pass and then fumbled. Like, whenever your star wide receiver, your number one guy, has literally 1 yard, you got to think as like an offensive quarter, unless they're taking him away, like you're doubling him everywhere, which this guy's not Calvin Johnson. Okay. With all due respect to Zay, I think he's unbelievable, but he's not getting doubled all over the field. So it's like, how do you have a game plan where Zay Flowers has one reception yard? Like, how does that happen? It blows my mind.
Well, there was a lot that came out of yesterday that blows my mind. And, again, everything you pointed out is 100% accurate. Like, once they got chased in the game, they tried to, they're going to get away from Henry a little bit once you get down double digits. But there's no excuse for him not getting way more touches the second quarter to start the third quarter. But now the AFC North, again, appears to be wide open. Like, I think it's too late for the Bengals. It's too late for the Browns. But Pittsburgh's got the Bills at home this week, and as we know, the Bills really struggle on the road. I don't know who's going to win that game. I lean Buffalo. But who wins the AFC North? Like, how would you handicap this? Steelers, Ravens, where do you stand on the AFC North?
I still like the Ravens, but quite honestly, I don't feel good about it. I really don't. Like, I don't know.
They're not winning anything this year, the way they're playing. They're not winning anything.
No, and it's one of those things where, like, you almost sit there and watch it and think to yourself, like, it's almost like who's going to lose more in the AFC North right now. Like the Ravens have the awful start. They come back, and you're like, okay, this team, like, they're in the driver's seat, and then they have 5 turnovers yesterday, and they lay an egg like that. It's just like, and now kind of opens the door for Pittsburgh. And I don't think Pittsburgh beats the Bills either, but the matchup there is kind of solid in the sense of, you got a decent run stopping defense. On the flip side, like, Pittsburgh likes to run the ball, and you're going up against an awful run defense in Buffalo. Like, I do think it'll be a tight game.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's a turnover or a couple funky plays or Buffalo runs into penalty issues, like, Pittsburgh could easily sneak this thing out. So that's where, for me, it gets a little greasy with the AFC North right now.
Mm-hmm. And then you look at, what happened in the afternoon game where Kansas City, they had ample opportunity. They couldn't do it. I mean, Mahomes, I think, did everything he possibly could, like he has at different times this year. But now they're 6-6. And you look at Dallas is 6-5-1. And they're at Detroit, the team they're chasing now all of a sudden on Sunday night, I believe, next week. That might be actually next Thursday, I think they play.
Thursday, yep.
Okay, next Thursday. Then they got Vikings at home, Chargers at home, at Commanders, at Giants. Like, if Dallas can go into Detroit and win, there's a chance they win out here.
They got a good shot.
Yeah.
But here's the crazy part is, you said they're 6-5-1 right now, which, like, I it's crazy to say this, but I think if you look at the schedules, it's going to take 11 wins.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's unfortunate, but in the NFC, it's a lot tougher right now. But it looks to me like I do believe Seattle gets to 11, and I think San Fran gets to 11. So now you look at that final wild card spot, and that's assuming the Eagles don't puke all over themselves consistently. And it's like, okay, you got to basically catch one of the NFC North teams. So I'll say this, their playoffs game for both teams, I think that Thursday game this week, Detroit versus Dallas, it straight up is a playoff game for both teams. Losers done,
Yeah.
in my opinion. Losers
Yeah.
knocked out of the playoffs. And what's crazy, though, is the winner, especially if Chicago holds on to this thing, the winner still probably has to continue to win out.
Yeah. Well, you're right. I mean, the Bears, this was the statement game. Like, there's still a half to be played. We'll see what happens in this game. But the Bears pull this off.
Bears
They're up
get
to
this,
9 wins.
they're at 9 wins. Yeah. So again, that's
right
why I
there.
said 11's probably the magic number. Like, you're telling me the Pack aren't getting to 11? Have you seen their schedule upcoming?
Right.
Let's say they split with the Bears. Like, both teams are going to get to 11 wins.
Yep.
Luke, when you look at the Chiefs, I mean, 6-6. This is the team that's been to 5 of the last 6 Super Bowls. They've got their 3 rings. I mean, are we seeing like a transition year here where they're going to have to move off some of their older guys? Obviously, Kelsey is heading off into Swifty land sooner rather than later. But, Mahomes is still a stud at age 30, but they don't seem to have enough around him. Or how do you interpret their struggles in a year where I think their playoff probabilities now are like 30%?
Yeah, I'll say this. They have to win out to get in, especially because their tie break right now is a bloodbath. But 2 of the teams in front of them, they play the next 2 weeks, and both those games are at home. So they lose another game, to me, they're cooked, done. Like, sure, there'll be a probability, but if they lose one more, I think they're jammed. But you look at their upcoming schedule, it's the Texans at home, which matchup-wise, I think that Steve Spagnuolo's defense should dominate Houston's offense. So if Mahomes, like that to me has like a 1916 vibe written all over it. So you look at that, and then you got the Chargers right now that are really beat up, also at home. Both those teams are in front of them. And then you end up with the Titans on the road, which has got to be a must win. They got to get that one done. And then it comes down to their last 2 games, which is Denver at home and Las Vegas on the road. So I'll say this. You go back to yesterday, beyond like the age of this team, these guys have 10 penalties for 119 yards. And
Yeah.
quite frankly, in this guy, we're always pump his tires in the show, but Steve Spagnuolo had a very, very tough night yesterday.
Yeah, he did.
So I think what's got to be frustrating for Kansas City is like a lot of that is self-inflicted. Again, you can't beat anybody. I mean, you can, but it's very tough when you spot them 119 penalty yards. So
Yes, Sal's brother. Just storming through the line of scrimmage and cutting Luke off. Like, just cutting him right off at the line of scrimmage. I love that play by you.
I do have a follow-up question, though. I'm actually legitimately honest, Luke. Like, you talk about the Chiefs and Mahomes and the situation they're in now, and they could possibly lose in the play. Like, how much would that impact his legacy? Like, we're talking about him being in the Brady stratosphere the last couple of years, but you look, the offense hasn't looked all that great. I think back-to-back seasons, they've ranked 15th in points, and they follow that up with missing the playoffs. Like, what does that do for his legacy, you think?
I'll be honest with you, boys. I'm watching this game right now. Watching the Eagles makes me want to puke sometimes. It makes me want to puke. What's the matter with these guys? I can't even focus.
They stink. But it's a
These
valid
guys make me
question,
wanna
House
puke.
brother. It's a valid question. Like, outside of when Brady tore his ACL, he made the play. He wasn't playing. Matt Castle still won 11 games that year. They went to the playoffs every year. They won the AFC East every single year.
Yeah.
And here's
they were
Mahomes.
top 10 in scoring every single year.
Every single year, with even when they had no high end talent around them, and it looks like Kansas City might miss the playoffs, which is something that Brady. Never
You
did
say
in his
that,
prime.
but in the same breath, like I think if they miss the playoffs one time, has Mahomes ever not been in the AFC Championship?
Every year he has been,
Every year, like at this point,
yeah. And if they go
there's just
10-7 and miss, you're like, all right, we can live with that. We can. He's got a lot of time left too. They just if they're
I'll say this
transitioning
too,
here,
it's not him. There's been no This isn't a Jalen Hurts situation where you're like, wow, he looks awful. I thought he looked amazing yesterday. He just
Yeah.
had a team that didn't quite look amazing at all. Sort
Well,
of
that
like the Eagles right
represents
now.
and HBO for that matter. I can't put my finger on what's changed the last couple of days, but all of a sudden we can't pick winners. Something happened. Something happened. And anyway, somehow we're playing Niners-Browns, Al's brother, because Doogie is trying to do everything he can to jam us here. We had a lock in the previous game we were going to play, Houston-Indy. Like Al's brother and I saw that beautifully, as clearly as you can possibly see it. But Niners laying 4.5 at the Browns. Al's brother, tremendous information. Where do you stand on this?
Yeah, it's a much tougher game, so it makes sense that they had to put us on the tough one. And
Hurts just threw a pick.
The problem is, what are the Browns? They got a really good defense, but what are they exactly? They are winning at the line of scrimmage a lot, so that's ultimately what I'm looking at. I'm looking at them. I'm looking at a game where I think it's going to be horrendous weather.
Yes.
I think it's going to be sleet and snow. Brock Purdy does not play well in bad weather. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game ultimately. 4.5 points might be a bit too high of a spread, so I hate it so much, but I think I lean Browns here, Hayes.
My instincts say Browns too, just because the weather and Purdy's been so bad. And this feels like 1916, 17-14. It feels like the Browns defense get after Purdy, force him into trouble. McCaffrey on a slippery field. I don't like it. Feels like
good for him.
Yeah.
Could be good for him.
I don't know, man. I think Judkins has himself an afternoon on the other side. I think it's just a run game. It's a special teams game. I think the home team getting points with a very stout defense.
Well,
I think we take
Jim
the points
Schwartz,
here. And Shedeur
Jim
maybe
Schwartz
has himself
has
a night.
traditionally he's been great against Kyle Shanahan offense.
Yep.
He's limiting the Niners to 15 points per game and under 300 yards in each of the 3 times that he's faced Shanahan's offense. So I think you add in the bad weather. Should be a close, tight game. We'll take the points.
All right, we'll take the points here. And we feel good because we know this guy's about to lose the Eagles pick. So it's all good. Like we're just
shambles.
Right, yeah, it's shambles.
No one's got one right this week.
Shambles. It's awful. It's the O-Dog curse for everybody.
Week.
All right, Bills -3 at the Steelers. Team
it's
Noodles
weird because I really think that the Steelers should cover this, but I'm going the other way. I'm taking the Bills. The Bills have been bad on the road, but you look at the run game. I think that this Steelers team gets jammed up here, and I think the Bills actually roll. They're due, man. The Steelers defense is not very strong. That's just if you watch this team, the secondary's weak. Okay, I do think they'll get the run game going. And the only hope, especially if Buffalo gets a lead early, they'll be chasing like crazy. So I'm gonna go Bills -3.
Okay, I don't know if Noodles will love that pick, man. Noodles will not be happy with that pick. He's an Aaron Rodgers guy.
Right.
Noodles is an Aaron Rodgers guy. All right, you guys want the Bills laying points on the road. That's tough.
Without both starting tackles,
Right.
I might add, and J.J. Watt screaming down this. They gave up 8 sacks last week. J.J. Watt's going to have a field day.
P.J. Watt. If J.J. plays, then we really got to
coming
score.
You know
out
what?
of
You guys are right.
Sorry,
You guys are
TJ
right.
Watt.
We'll switch the pick. I
Wait
don't
a
like going
minute.
for the
What?
Bills.
No.
The Steelers. No. I didn't lock it.
Doogie just said it's locked.
Doogie,
way.
chime in here. I
Bills
want the
are in.
Steelers.
Bills are in, buddy.
You can't steal
I
my
want the
tremendous
Steelers,
information
boys.
to make your decisions.
I want the Steelers.
Bills are
Crazy.
I
locked
just got the
in.
text from my
-3.
team president. He said, take Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, my God. This is a controversy waiting to happen. Doogie, there's a protest. Doogie, you make the call, man. All right, final pick before we figure out exactly what the hell just happened there. Broncos -5.5 at the Commanders. This game stinks, too. Like a Sunday night football. Why is Washington? I get what they did last year. Flex them. Get them off Sunday night football.
That's terrible.
It's sickening that they're playing in primetime. Al's brother, where are we at? It's got to be Broncos, right? Like, I hate it's a sick
we gotta
line.
take the
It's
Broncos.
gross, but I think we're on the
Yeah.
Broncos here. Okay.
Broncos big too. Like the Commanders stink. Like they've lost 6 in a row and they've failed to cover in all 6 of those games. They've lost by an average of 15.5 points. And you got Bo Nix, Sean Payton coming off a bye. You got one of the best defenses in football against Marcus Mariota. Yeah, I mean, I think the Broncos are going to win this one big. I'm surprised it's only at 5.5. It was at 6.5 for a majority of the week. I don't know why it's being bet down the other way, but I'm taking the Broncos big here.
Yeah, I think it's the Broncos. Although last night threw me off, man. That was such a Bengals cover. We should have known better. Short week, Burrow back, divisional game. We know that, House brother. I preach that all the time.
Why were you flying with the flock, House brother? Can you remind us again why you picked the Ravens?
O-Dog, that's why.
I was bound. The O-Dog, he got in my head. He got in my head, and he said, big bounce back for Lamar and the Ravens, and I took his word for it, and I shouldn't have. We should have stuck to the process of Hayes.
Quit blaming O-Dog. O-Dog wanted to go Joe Burrow. He's a huge Joe Burrow guy.
He's the poltergeist. He's a poltergeist. He's killing. Now he's a Pats fan again. I mean, everything the guy represents is just crushing. All right, picks are locked. Browns, Bills, Broncos. Browns.
So they got the Bills. Is that locked?
Broncos.
Bills. I want the Steelers.
I talk to Doogie. We'll figure it out before we'll tweet out the official pick soon.
This guy's a fraud.
Boys. It's so fraudulent. It's so fraudulent. All right, boys. Have yourselves a great weekend.
All right, boys.
There it is.
See you, boys.
Luke Willson and Al's brother. Emily Kaplan, Jack Armstrong coming up. Overdrive continues, TSN 1050 and on TSN+. All right, Leafs in action this afternoon. Max Domi not playing. Michelli's going in.
Wow.
So you got William Nylander sick, not playing tonight, and Domi's still coming out. I think it's the right play. I think it's long overdue. He's had a terrible year. If you're going to send a message to Joshua and Michelli, you got to send it to him too. I think it's the right play. And I think he's a guy, he needs a spark. Like he needs to play with life. When he does, he can be very effective.
Oh, yeah.
But it just hasn't been there for Max this year. He's not alone. A lot of them have had down years, but he's got to get going here, and he's out today. I'm sure they'll put him right back in tomorrow. We'll see what he's got. But we'll be tracking the football game. Bunch of hockey games going on today. Emily Kaplan, Jack Armstrong, Best Bets, Dear Hazy B coming up. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and up on YouTube Live.
It's Mail It In Friday.
The plant called and said if you don't come in tomorrow, don't bother coming in Monday.
Woohoo! 4-day weekend.
This is Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
Hour 2 Overdrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Jack Armstrong a little bit later this hour. Raptors are in Charlotte tomorrow, then playing the Knicks on Sunday. And we've won a lot of games, man. A lot of games. Everyone's happy. Everyone's healthy. Everyone's feeling good with the Raptors right now.
They're the new Blue Jays, man. They all love each other. There's, magnetism. There's magic happening that we didn't expect to happen. I mean, you talk about low expectations coming into this season, Hayes. I don't think anybody was even thinking about this team in this town. Felt like it was as low an interest level as I've felt in an awfully long time. Like more than a decade, right? Like I was at practices where there was no TV cameras. Like I hadn't seen that since the 90s before Vince Carter got here.
Right.
And there was just no profile of this team, and suddenly the greater NBA conversation emanating from the States is talking about these guys.
Yeah, you're right. And I think it was a combination of a couple of things. One, their own doing. Last couple of years have been really ugly. Last year was really ugly. Like, it just wasn't a fun season. They tanked, and there just wasn't anything entertaining. And then Masai gets fired or let go. And I think a lot of people, he's been the face of the organization for a decade.
Mm-hmm.
And then you coincide that with the Blue Jays doing what they're doing. Like, the Leafs were overshadowed. Their camp was as overshadowed as anything I can recall in 15 years at TSN. They didn't have an interesting camp. They didn't really have a lot of interesting storylines. But neither did the Raptors. Like, Ingram showed up, and, you get a couple rookies coming in. We'll see if there's going to be some growth. But I think the expectations were that they could compete probably for a play-in spot. Like, that, I think, was the hope. Can you get to 40 wins, 41, 42 wins, play-in? And now they've just blown the doors completely open in terms of what we talked about yesterday. Now the East in the NBA looks completely wide open and very attainable. And I think the Raptors, based on the way they're playing, are thinking, why not us?
Yes.
Which it happens quickly. And good for them. It's not even December, and that's how you get people back onto your radar. You win ball games.
And look, the Raptors took a lot of hits in the offseason for the money they'd spent on this roster because it's one of the most expensive rosters in the NBA right now.
Right.
Like it's in the top 10, depending on how you calculate it. And they're a luxury tax team right now as it sits. And Masai Ujiri took a lot of hits for that because they'd done nothing, obviously. They're a 30-win team last year. But Masai Ujiri, to your point about why not us, he was looking at the East. He's been looking at the East for the past handful of years saying, why not us? Why not take a shot? You know, they cleared the decks for Giannis a few years back. That didn't happen. Obviously, he's still in Milwaukee. So the Brandon Ingram thing was kind of like poor man's Kevin Durant. We bring this guy in. We got a bucket getter. We got Scotty Barnes. This is one of the best two-way players in the NBA. We got Quickly, who we believe has upside as a combo point guard / shooter. And we got RJ Barrett. And why not us? You know, if the Celtics are taking a year off, if the Indiana Pacers are taking a year off, the Knicks are unproven, the Cavaliers are unproven. You go down the list, the Detroit Pistons, who currently lead the East, are certainly unproven. They were one of the worst teams in the NBA not too long ago. Suddenly, you know, Masai Ujiri's logic, even though he's not in the building, making a lot of sense.
Yeah, the vision was accurate.
Yeah.
Again, it's November. We'll see what happens in 3 or 4 months. But it does kind of open the door to new conversations. Like, what do you do at the trade deadline? Like, if you're spending all this money, you know, do you get active? Who do you approach? Who's available? We talked about it yesterday. Probably want some more size.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly some depth in terms of size. Like, I think they have their starting five pretty much figured out. There may be some adjustments. But they've also allowed some of the young guys to kind of grow, which is something they've always done really well in the Masai Ujiri era.
Yeah.
Again, we keep referencing him. He's not here anymore.
But his fingerprints are all over this
Yes.
team. Everything that's on the roster is his guy.
Right. Like they're depth guys, like Walter, who's getting a little bit more play. What is Grady Dick going to be? Jamal Shedd's been really good for them.
Oh, incredible.
You know, and like those are guys, you had to give them a year or two, get a little bit of growth, right? Let them come up here, get a little bit of run, which they did last year, you know, and then you obviously pair them with veterans who are playing the best basketballs of their career.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden you got a team that's won 9 in a row and is chasing down top seed in the East.
Oh, it's fun to watch.
It's a lot of fun.
They play defense. They play hard. They share the ball. It's like this is a team you can really, you know, get behind, and it has that Blue Jay kind of vibe to it, where it's like there's just something. Not only are they winning, but they're likable. They're a team that you can really kind of wrap your arms around. Probably because you didn't expect much from them too, and that's
a big part of it.
That's a nice thing because in this town, you know, we have that tendency to build things up and, you know, expect a lot. And in this case, it was kind of like, well, this is a team that's so good they just fired the president that built it.
Yeah, exactly. Now, it was deeper than that. I think most people know kind of or have an understanding of maybe why that happened.
But don't underestimate.
But they've been bad for the last couple of years.
Don't underestimate the fact that they have had, you know, non-playoff teams.
Yeah.
You know, only one playoff team since the championship and one playoff round since the championship, and that hurt Masai Ujiri a lot when it came to defending himself in those boardroom meetings.
Last few years, it's been ugly. Like there's no disputing it. A lot of the trades, it looked like you waited too long. Van Vliet left for nothing. You got nothing for Lowry. Blah blah blah. Like there were a lot of hits he took, but now they're moving up. So Jack will join us a little bit later in the hour. Leafs are in action in Washington. A lot of games in the NHL right now. There's Colorado already winning their game. It's incredible. But there's a lot going on in the league. U.S. Thanksgiving, always the bar. What are you made of by U.S. Thanksgiving? That's going to determine who you're going to be the rest of the way. Here's ESPN hockey reporter joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline back on OverDrive. Here's Emily Kaplan. How you doing, Emily?
I'm good. I appreciate you guys having me. Just coming off our annual Thanksgiving tradition of a street hockey game in New Jersey. So proud to report we do drink Molson's afterwards. We're trying to do it proper. But always good to chat with you guys.
I love that. That's the way it should be. That's the way it should be. And are you a believer in, like, how much stock do you put in that kind of defining moment, U.S. Thanksgiving? That defines who you are in the league and basically what you see, what you get the rest of the way. How much wiggle room do you have in terms of your evaluation the rest of the way?
You know, like personally, I feel like I'm an eye test person, a field test person. I'm never a numbers person, but the numbers definitely bear out. You know, if you're in playoff position at American Thanksgiving, we've seen it a million times. We don't have to repeat it ad nauseum. At the same time, I do feel like this season feels a bit different than years past, where it's just so many teams are in the mix, especially in the East, where you look at, the bottom dwellers and they're only a couple points out of the playoffs. So I'm not sure this year. I think this would be the year rather that we'd see the outliers. But typically, the teams that look like disasters at this point, they're not going to figure out a way to solve it.
Well, and that would be where the Leafs currently stand. Like the Leafs have not.
Perfect transition.
Yeah, it has not been good for them. And it hasn't been great for Austin Matthews. And we were talking about him in the last hour, and he's coming off the injury, played the other night in Columbus. Last year, he had an injury-riddled season, was a captain at the Four Nations, didn't have the greatest tournament, was okay, actually played really well, and had ample opportunities in overtime to win that game, and he couldn't beat Binnington. And we were discussing, with the Olympics back and how significant it is, especially in the U.S., because it's such a huge profile for the game and for the American players in particular on NBC. We talked about TJ Oshie over 10 years ago, how big he was because he scored in the shootouts. But if you're trying to get a read on how big that's going to be for Matthews, for Austin, his profile, we presume he'll be the captain again. I don't know if you have any info on that. But what kind of how defining could this be for his legacy, particularly in his home country? What could happen at the Olympic Games this year?
Absolutely. I mean, you look at TJ Oshie, and now all of a sudden he's a colleague and on the desk here at ESPN because he's such a household name. And of course, he had a great career. But all of my friends who are just casual sports fans know Oshie because of what he did in that Sochi Olympics. As for Austin, look, I think the captain question, I'll get there first. I think USA Hockey, every time I talk to Bill Guerin about the makeup of the team, how he wants to make the team, the first thing he always says is, we really liked our Four Nations team. We were a really good team. And because of that, I just don't get the sense that, A, they're going to make many roster changes, and B, they're going to make a leadership change. And even though there are a lot of guys that have loud voices in that, we know the Kachuk brothers have basically become the face of it. I think they'll be heavily marketed in the U.S., and I think when they come out of the Olympics, especially if the U.S. does very well and gets a gold medal, they're the ones that are going to get the biggest bump. I expect Austin Matthews to still have the C because there's nothing that he did not to earn it, right? Or to have it taken away or somebody else to go over him. As for what this could do to him, I mean, I think he's been criminally undermarketed in the NHL in a lot of ways, and I think it's intentional, right? He's so focused on the ice and so focused on being the right role model and the right person for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and that's a really tough market to navigate, that he said no to a lot, and he's been very choosy about what type of opportunities he gets. And let's be honest, there just haven't been that many opportunities here in the United States for hockey players. But he's so marketable in the terms that he's from Arizona. He has a Mexican heritage. He's just a wonderful player to watch, that if Team USA wins and if he has a good tournament and he's wearing that C, I think some of those opportunities are going to come to him that he cannot say no to. And we're going to see him in national ad campaigns. We're going to see him, cross over on things that are transcendent beyond hockey. And it will be absolutely massive. And I know everyone listening to this is probably a hockey fan in Canada, and they're like, how much bigger can he get? But trust me, a lot of my casual sports fans here in the United States don't know Austin yet, but after the Olympics, they probably will.
Well, Leaf fans are certainly hoping for that, Emily, because he certainly has made himself relatively anonymous this season in Toronto, given where he's come from and how big he's been at times. But the Leafs are getting a little break from this very difficult market, Emily, and on a road trip. They're 2 games into a 5-gamer in Washington today, and I'm wondering how you're seeing the end game of the career of Alex Ovechkin, because we all thought, hey, he got the Gretzky record. He's reached 900 goals. Is he going to sort of waltz into the sunset here and have kind of a quiet end to his career? And yet you look down and he's got 9 goals in his most recent 12 games. The Capitals are into a playoff spot. He seems to be playing with a ton of energy and enjoying all these honors he seems to be getting in pregame ceremonies on a very regular basis. How have you viewed Ovi at 40?
Yeah, I think, look, what we're seeing behind the scenes is kind of a tell that either he knows this is it or could be it. With all the jersey swaps that he's doing, like doing with Connor McDavid, and you see it with Kopitar, and I think every stop he goes, he's a big memorabilia guy, and he's clearly gearing up as if this could be his last season. I've always assumed that the way this year goes will dictate what he does next, but I found it really interesting that when I sat down with him, I think it was probably end of October, maybe early November, we did a sit-down interview, and I asked, when will you know when it's time to hang them up? And he said, I just want to make sure that I'm there for my kids, that I'm able to play soccer with them, play hockey with them. And because of that, I kind of had this thought in my head of he wants to make sure that like his body still feels good. And because of that, it probably doesn't even matter how this year goes. Like, I think there's some thoughts that are already kind of going through his mind of how the end of his career is going to play out. Like, you obviously don't want to be out there and be a liability. And I feel like sometimes we were questioning that, especially when he was getting every single start in the offensive zone. Like, dude, do you trust this guy at all? And I was like, okay, fine. Like, he's still producing. And then the other thing that I've always considered with Alex Ovechkin is he's so obsessed with other GOATs. Like, he loves following the careers of Lionel Messi, Aaron Judge, and Kobe Bryant. And I know that the one GOAT that he loves the most out of all of them is Michael Jordan. And I think about MJ, and MJ walked out when he was still on top, when he still had so much to give to the sport. And I can't help but think that might be something that's going through his mind as well.
With Emily Kaplan of ESPN, and the Leafs are, they're going back-to-back with GOATs or legends because they're in Washington today, they're in Pittsburgh tomorrow. And the Pens have had a surprising start, but I get the sense they're coming back to earth. And I think by the end of it, like we just talked about U.S. Thanksgiving, where you happen to be in the standings, I think they're going to fall further south. And I think Dubas is preparing for that. But with Sid, like, I'm curious, how you apply that same logic or that same, line of thinking to Sid and trying to project what his career looks like the rest of the way. Because I get the sense he's just going to keep playing. Like, I think he doesn't have kids like Ovi does. I think I wouldn't be shocked if he plays till he's 42, 43. What is your prediction on how many more years could be left for Sid?
Oh, yeah. I honestly don't even want to put a number on it because I think as long as he's playing at a high level, and I feel like that's most of these guys, they feel like as long as I'm still contributing to the game and I'm still contributing to my team and I'm not a liability, I want to be out there until they tell me that I can't be out there anymore. And I feel like Sid, to your point, because of how narrowly focused he is, that's got to be the group that he's in. I think that Pittsburgh has navigated this so beautifully because it's such a challenging situation. And I remember when Fenway came in and I heard these rumors that they did this market research of like, what would it mean if we said goodbye to the franchise legends like Sid, like Gino, like Letang? And the results that came back were like, oh, no, that's not good for business. And that's why you saw Letang and Malkin get these extensions that they're playing on right now. And so I think that there's just this thought process in Pittsburgh that we got to do right by Sid, especially Sid. And, they're going to let him dictate this. And, we saw the noise really ramp up this offseason. Will he leave? How can he stand this? This is such a rebuild. One, I think Dan Muse is a way better coach than any of us gave him credit for. Mm-hmm. And two, we just all underestimated the way that Sid can drive the bus. And even though that roster is not up to par with so many other NHL rosters, like they play their butts off because of their captain. So I think he'll dictate how long he wants to go, how long it's going to be in Pittsburgh. He hasn't shown no indications that he wants to play anywhere outside of Pittsburgh. I'm with you. I think that they're going to come down to earth, but they'll be competitive enough where after the Olympic break, we can't say, okay, this is the year he gets traded. There's just no way.
Emily, you talk about how this has been a bit of an unusual season with the jammed up standings and so much parity in the league. There's been an unprecedented number of overtime games to date. Are you getting any sense that there's any appetite for changing the way the standings are run in terms of, the loser point and, which does cause so much congestion in the standings when there are so many overtime games? Any appetite for a 3-point regulation win in the standings or anything of that nature that might separate things more than they are separated right now?
Maybe if we get to a situation where, like, the end of the year just feels like such an anomaly when we look at all the overtime points and we're like, okay, like, we can't have this anymore. Perhaps there will be some appetite to discuss it. I sense absolutely zero appetite for change, though, right now. Like, I really don't. Like, maybe people all have opinions, but I can see the way this goes. Like, the general managers are going to meet again in March in Florida, and I'm sure it'll be like an agenda item someone brings up, and what should we do? And then they'll table it, and then it'll go up to the Board of Governors maybe, but it will never get to the point where it's going to get voted on. And I just can't imagine we're going to get a situation where we're getting any kind of format changes, both to the regular season or the playoff format. And I think that's just because Gary Bettman and most of the league owners say, like, hey, the league's in a really good place. We're really healthy. Why change things for the sake of changing things? So the long answer here is no, I don't sense any appetite. No. But they'll probably discuss it and then table it and nothing.
I know. Well, they love the idea of all these fan bases being able to believe that they're in it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's what they're afraid of, and I can't necessarily blame them. Like, it's not that's where every league is going right now. Every league's chasing parity. They all want to be the NFL. The NBA's doing it. The NHL. They want everyone included. They don't want teams bottoming out. And kind of tough to argue that. Like, even up here in Toronto is a good example of that. Like, the Leafs have had a great run. They've been in playoffs 9 straight years. They have had an awful start, and they're out of the playoffs. But you look at it, they pick up a couple extra points here or there. They're still in it.
Yeah.
And you can sell it. You can kind of reason with that if you're Gary Bettman.
For sure. And like a couple notes there. One, it's still such a gate revenue-driven league that we need the money, right, from those two fan bases that are like, okay, maybe like these games in February, March, like those games need to matter because we need fans in the seats for those point blank. And it's just, there's sorry, I got a little off on the thought here. Maybe the Molson just hit.
You're a winner, Emily. You're allowed to. Just take it wherever it takes you.
I'm telling you, the bruises from that street hockey game, it got a little tough out there. But no, like I think that there's so many, this is the other point I was going to make, that like our company, right, like we broadcast the playoffs. And I think the one thing is we're still so dependent on the big market teams. Like when the Rangers, when the Bruins, when the Red Wings and the Blackhawks are not in it long, we see the ratings drop. At the same time, this is the way the league wants it. They want teams in it every year, and we probably need to do a better job of elevating those smaller markets. So no, and I think that with the salary cap rising, there might be more of a divide with the have and have-nots, and that's all the more reason why they wouldn't change the format at this point in time.
Yep, absolutely. All right, we'll let you get back to the celebrations.
Good recovery, man.
That was actually very professional. Very, very professional. Great catching up with you as always, Emily. Thank you for doing this.
Likewise, always. Hope you guys have a good one.
Yeah, you too. Emily Kaplan of ESPN joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. Get in and go where adventures take you. In a new 2025 Tacoma from Maple Toyota near Canada's Wonderland in the Maple Auto Mall. Visit mapletoyota.com. All right, so we're tracking. The Bears are up 16-9 on the Eagles.
Wow.
And it's 1-0 Leafs. One shot on goal. They've been caved in. They got lucky by a quick whistle because it looked like the Capitals had scored 30 seconds into the game, but it got waved off. Leafs are on fire down in D.C.
Morgan Riley with the snipe.
Morgan Riley with a snipe. Leafs are up 1-0. All right, so we're tracking that. Jack's coming up. More on the Raptors and their big weekend still to come. Best Bets coming up. Dear Hazy B as well. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and up on TSN+.
Now, back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
Melon Fridays brought to you by Boston Pizza's NFL Game Day menu. Stop by your local BP for $7 touchdown pine style than shareables and weekly prizing up for grabs. Football game days are better at BP. Days like today are better around TSN. There's a lot of buzz in the building because the Leafs are on TSN, the Jets are on TSN, Ottawa's on TSN, Montreal's on TSN, Bears, Eagles are on TSN.
Awesome.
So it's just one of those days. There's a million people working here. Everyone's tracking the games. You get some of these, like every once in a while, you get a day like this where you realize, okay, we're live, we're on the air right now, but there's so much going on that you just can't avoid it.
Yeah.
And the Bears being up 17-9 in the fourth quarter, there's no guarantees they're going to win this game. But I said prior to the games even being played yesterday, including the Packers-Lions game, that this is the biggest statement of the whole weekend if the Bears can win this game.
Yeah.
Because they're 8-3, but everyone was looking at them saying, you're the Bears. The schedule has been incredibly soft. Packers are coming for you. Yeah. No way you're going to win this thing. If they win this game and they're 9-3 and you win on national TV against the Super Bowl champs in Philly, that's a big statement.
Without a doubt. It was people looking at the schedule saying you haven't beaten anybody and you're 8-3. There were the analytics nerds were saying this is the worst 8-3 team in the history of the NFL. Their underlying numbers are so bad that they should be, they should be 3-8.
Right.
There was no respect for the Bears. And you don't think that got into the locker room and they're right. The way they're playing right now says, hang on here. We're not that bad.
Right. Although what will probably end up being the bigger story is the Eagles.
Yes.
If they get skunked here at home and Hurts is throwing picks, which he's doing, their offense can't get going, they get booed off the field.
Yeah.
It'll be very Bears-like for them to make a statement, but it actually turns into more of a statement about the other team. Right? They still will have a Rodney Dangerfield element to it, no respect. Good for you, you won, but it's because the Eagles sucked. Not because you actually performed well.
Right.
Like that's always what happens with bad teams, or even and the Bears have been awful for a long time, but just teams that have not proven that they have championship pedigree.
Right.
Like even if they win, it's like, well, it wasn't really you. It was more the other team.
Very true, and rightly so, frankly.
Yeah.
The Bears have been an embarrassment for far too long. But the bottom line is, they'll be 9-3 in first place by a mile. Well, not by a mile because Green Bay's right with them. And
Packers play them twice still.
Yeah.
Like those are the defining moments.
Those are the defining moments. Now, the funny thing is, the Eagles will still be 8-4 and still in first place.
Yeah.
So it's not really, red alert in Philly, although if you listen to Philly sports radio, which I occasionally tune into for entertainment purposes.
It's always great down there.
It's always hilarious to listen to because it does feel like they're the worst team in the league.
Yeah.
Their coach is the biggest idiot on the planet who's never going to win another game. And there's something to love about that.
Well, and that's where, like, you look at the Leafs, and they're currently playing. They're up 1-0, and, us watching it on TSN in here, they're getting caved in. The shots are 9-1. But the one that got on net went in.
Yeah.
So that's all good. The difference is the Leafs are not, on pace for 110 points like the Eagles equivalent would be. Yet people here are freaking out, and naturally so. So we'll see what happens there. But as for the Raptors, we were talking about them, and Jack's coming up here in a moment. They're in Charlotte tomorrow. Knicks on Sunday. They've been great. And the Brandon Ingram story has gone as well as any first impression possibly could.
Yeah.
Like when they acquired him, it was just a weird transition because they got him. He was hurt. You knew they weren't going to play him. He wasn't going to return, which he didn't. You knew they were tanking. No one was playing down the stretch. It was just then they get leaped in the lottery, which didn't help. No. Like if they won the lottery, it would have been a bigger story, but they fell down.
Yes.
So it just added to the kind of pain of the whole season.
And then, Colin Murray-Boyles, he was turned out to be a nice pick. He had the kind of eye roll when he got picked by the Raptors.
Right. And you're like, what does
Terrible
that mean?
body language.
Yeah.
And there was a lot going against him. Everybody was running down the contract. Brandon Ingram's own agent went on a major podcast and said, I never could have got that deal from him anywhere else.
Can't believe they gave him that money.
I can't believe we got $40 million for that guy who never plays and is always hurt. I mean, that was not good for Masai.
No, that probably hurt.
Probably did not send a thank you card to Rich Paul, the agent for Brandon Ingram, on that podcast appearance. And then people were running them down for paying Emmanuel Quickly too much money, which was screwing up the restricted free agent market in the summertime, according to some sources. And because Quickly's deal is too
Well,
rich.
he was hurt all last year.
Yeah. And he's never proven anything.
No, he's never proven it. I'm still not sold that they have that point guard position figured out.
Well, he's not really a point guard. That's the thing.
Problem.
He's not that fast processing, computer brained ball distributor that you'd love to have in that spot. But maybe that doesn't exist in large quantities anymore in this league. And if he's making threes, which he has been at times, and he certainly has the potential to do, maybe that's enough.
Well, and you look at the way the rest of the team is built. Like it's not 1987 anymore where, guys on the wing are not touching the ball.
Right. Scotty's the point forward.
Scotty's a point forward. Ingram can bring the ball up. RJ, if he's healthy to an extent, is a guy who can handle the ball for sure. And they've had times where they put Quickly and Shed on at the same, time, and the numbers have been pretty positive. So again, it gets back to what we talked about earlier. Like you can I don't think it's putting the cart before the horse. Like you win 9 in a row, you're in the position they're in. You feel very good about them being competitive this year. Like I think it's a stretch to start talking, deep runs in November. But I do think you could start looking at maybe who could be available via trade deadline, which comes up pretty quick in the NBA. Start wondering what they could do, and how comfortable are you moving out assets possibly to bring in pieces? And I don't know what's going to be available in the NBA right now. It's much too early to really know. But it's fun that they put themselves in that spot.
It's tremendous.
You're not talking about another year of growth or shutting guys down or do you have to move off guys? Like they went through that for a couple of years, and now they've come out of it, and they look great. Yeah, and they're winning games.
It's a fun team to watch, and Raptors fans deserve it because they've watched a lot of not-so-fun teams. Like, hey, remember 2 years ago, Masai Ujiri himself said this team was hard to watch.
Killing me watching this team. Yeah. And now Masai's no longer here, but I'm sure he's enjoying
he's watching
them play.
He's watching.
As he should. Raptors in Charlotte tomorrow. Knicks on Sunday. Here's our TSN Raptors analyst, Jack Armstrong. How you doing, Jack?
Brian, Dave, how you guys doing? Greetings from Charlotte.
Yes, we love it. Wow, we're doing very well, man. Not as good as the Raptors, evidently. What's it been like being around this team, man? It seems like it's nothing but positive mojo right now.
Yeah, it's a good group. Very good group in terms of chemistry. High character guys. All for one for all. Very collegiate atmosphere. High energy. Really, they're just an enjoyable group to be around. So, I've heard so many people already compare them to, kind of this past year's Toronto Blue Jay group,
Yeah.
and there are a lot of those similarities. So, yeah, this is a group that you could easily root for and enjoy watching. So, yeah, it's been a fun ride.
When you look at Brandon Ingram, Jack, I mean, it was kind of a bizarre scenario that happened last year where the Raptors trade for the guy. They sign him to an extension that his agent subsequently crows about how rich the deal was and how he couldn't have got that extension anywhere else other than Toronto. And he never plays for the Raptors last year. So we didn't really have a lot of a feel for what he could do. All we looked at was a very injury-riddled past in New Orleans. And not great results in New Orleans because the Pelicans are the Pelicans. What's your level of surprise with the way this guy has hit the ground running and been the force he's been?
Well, if you saw him play at Duke, if you saw him play with the Lakers, and if you saw him play with the Pelicans when he was healthy, I'm not the least bit surprised. I mean, this is who he is. The question is he on the court? And that's going to be the most important thing from this point forward. He's already played more games this year than he played last year. So the great thing is if they can keep him upright and on the floor, you're seeing a guy that's a incredibly capable, gifted, skilled offensive player that you can run a lot of actions through, and that you can have the ball in his hands late in the shot clock. That his teammates have faith in him. He has faith in what he's able to do, and the league understands his talent level. And he's long, he's tall. He can shoot over the top of people. There's not a lot of defenders in the league that can make him that uncomfortable that he can't get to his spots and get his shot off. So, to me, I think he's ideal for the development of all the other guys on this team. Everyone's able to move down a peg, and the pressure isn't there to have to move up a peg. So with him on the floor, suddenly you become a much more efficient team offensively. And look, he's never going to be an all defensive player, but he's trying like heck out there defensively. And he goes and gets it on the defensive glass in terms of rebounding. So to me, I think he also looks like a rejuvenated, excited, all in player. And when you get a guy that comes from a situation, Dave, to your point, like New Orleans, and he comes to Toronto and says, man, these guys do everything first class. You know what? The rest of you guys, you should realize how lucky you are to be here. This is amazing. I've been around the league a long time. This is a pretty good place to be. So I think that permeates throughout the roster too, and guys really buy into what's going on.
With Jack Armstrong, and yeah, he seems to mix really well with Scotty Barnes and the way Barnes is kind of wired. And like I'm curious where you see this going with Scotty. And you take the other night into consideration where Ingram gets the ball late. They didn't drop a play. I heard you. I was saying the same thing. Call the timeout. I thought Darko was going to call the timeout. Let him play. He challenges Siakam. He hits the shot, and it seems like Ingram is the guy that's likely going to get that opportunity moving forward. But I'm curious where Barnes comes into play on scenarios like that. And do you see growth in his game where we're going to get to that point where it's like, all right, Scotty, you're the man in the biggest situations, or do you think it's going to be Ingram when it comes to scoring scenarios late in games?
Well, two things. First of all, I said timeout because the ball wasn't in Ingram's hands, and they were discombobulated the last few possessions and needed order and needed organization, which I felt they didn't have in a game like that. That give Indiana credit; they played their tails off in terms of how they were guarding and all that. But when the ball got in Ingram's hands, then you're like, no, you don't want a timeout. When you look at Scotty Barnes, he is a guy that, to me, I think gets greater joy out of maybe having a game where he gets 20, 10 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 blocks, 2 steals, 3 or 4 deflections. I think he gets greater joy in a game like that and winning than maybe getting 27 points and maybe lesser in other areas. So I think he's perfectly suited to play with a guy like Ingram. And, it's interesting. I'm not saying he is. He's not. Scotty Barnes has got that size and the vision in the open court that a Magic Johnson had. And again, he's not at that caliber. Magic Johnson had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and James Worthy. Magic Johnson, with the exception of, in the finals when Kareem was out in a Game 6 at Philly, had to be the guy. But always was in a position where he had showtime and incredible talent around him and was better suited in that. And to me, I think if you look at Scotty Barnes, I think when you put greater talent around him, he becomes that much better because now he can really dig into where he is capable of really impacting winning. And he's impacting winning as a scorer, mid-post, low post, occasional face-up three, which is improved. How about him going 14 to 14 from the free throw line? Okay? He's going to block shots. He's going to alter shots. He's going to get steals. He's going to get deflections. He's got great switchability in his game where he can guard all the spots on the floor. He's got great range as a defender in terms of his length and his lateral quickness. He can go get it on both backboards as a rebounder. And he's a guy that can direct your break. He can get the ball up the court very quickly and get it to the right people. And to me, I think in tight quarters, he's a magnificent passer and again, unselfish. So I think the fit for him right now is ideal.
So Jack, the other big question mark this season I felt coming into it was Darko, because we know Darko Rajakovic has a great reputation as a developer of talent. And that was, one of the reasons he was brought into this situation. This was a team that won a combined 55 games in his first 2 seasons, and now he's faced with a team that's expected to win, that's not tanking anymore. So far, it's gone awfully well. I mean, now I saw it with my own eyes, Jack. I know you were a great developer of talent in your coaching days at Niagara, and also a great tactician.
I don't know about that.
But not many guys can mix those two things. How do you think Darko's done so far?
Well, I think a difficult spot for him to be in when he took over. I personally, and I said it on the air when it happened at the time, I did not agree with the departure of Nick Nurse. I think Nick Nurse is an incredibly talented coach. With that being said, a decision was made. With that decision, now you bring a guy in who's never been an NBA head coach, and nor was Nick, but Nick proved himself. And now, unfortunately for Darko, his first 2 years, I don't know what they were: restructuring, rebuilding, retooling, rebooting, tanking. I don't know. There's a million different ways. But bottom line, the first 2 years, I think it was incredibly difficult for him to show all the tools that he had in his toolkit as a coach. Now he's in his 3rd year, and I've always been a big believer. I don't care what level you're at. I think in your 3rd year, you should know about a player, you should know about a coach, an executive, whatever. And I think in the 3rd year now, with the handcuffs off and everyone's pointing in the right direction saying, hey, we need to win, he's showing that the foundation and the groundwork he put in place is coming to fruition. So I'm really happy for him, because a lot of times it's like being an expansion coach. You do all the heavy lifting, and then when it's time to win, they whack you and they bring somebody else in. They bring a bigger name in, and you never get a chance to show how talented you are. So to me, I think he's shown that now when they've had to win, that he's shown that he can put a program together. And here's the thing. I think the telling thing, Dave, was on Monday night after the Raptors beat the Cavs. Unprompted, and let me repeat this, unprompted, and this is a guy that played for Mike Krzyzewski at Duke. Brandon Ingram raved about playing for Darko. Again, this is a guy that is an elite talent in this league. and knows what a good coach is, knows what a good team is, knows what winning is, knows what talent is, and unprompted just said, hey, this guy's incredible to play for, and he's our leader. He's a big reason why we're successful. He gets us going every day. So to me, as a former coach, rarely do players become effusive in their praise of a coach. Normally, they look in the mirror and say, it's all about me. Right. So for a guy to not only praise how much he loves his teammates, but more importantly, to bring it up without being prompted on it, I think says a lot. So I think that says a lot about the job that Darko's done. And again, the guy that hired you as the president is no longer here. Thank goodness they have at least stability where Bobby Webster took over, and a lot of those same attributes and things that wanted to be put in place are still there. And so, I think it helps around him. God forbid if they didn't bring anyone back, and now he's got a new executive, and he's basically a lame duck coach with little chance of surviving. And so to me, I think it's worked out really well where there's stability in the front office, and there's been a lot of movement around him, an ownership change above him as the president, and yet I think he's stuck to the task, and I think these guys really believe in him. And look, pro coaching today, they not only have to respect you, they got to like you. And I think the players both like him and respect him. And look, he can get after them and rip a strip off of them. I've seen it. He will do it. And at the same time, he'll give him a pat on the butt and he'll give him a hug. And those guys will go, I love this guy. I'll play hard for him. And he's done a great job of developing personal relationships with guys so that in the heat of battle, when you get into a guy and challenge a guy a little bit, guys don't retreat and get have their feelings hurt. They know it's coming from a good place. And look, that's modern coaching in 2025.
Always great seeing you. Always great catching up with you, Jack. Enjoy Charlotte, and we'll do it again soon.
Hey, by the way, this is my first time ever doing a FaceTime interview on OverDrive. This is like,
we love it.
We are in the cutting edge. This is big tough. This is big time. I feel like I'm on the cut. You're right. I'm on the cutting edge here in beautiful Charlotte, North Carolina. So my first time. So I'm what do they say? I'm a first time caller, long time listener. So
that's right.
Happy to be on.
First time FaceTimer, Jack. Long time watcher, I guess, is the reality of modern TV and radio and the whole thing. Great seeing you, buddy. Thank you for doing this.
Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Jack.
There he is, Jack Armstrong. I love it, man.
You'd never know it was his first time.
Coming right through the screen now. I love it. That's intensity, man.
Yeah.
That's a full court press.
I tell you, man, I used to go when I was some of my fondest memories about falling in love with basketball were watching Jack Armstrong coach, man. He was a maniac.
And was he intense?
He was a maniac on the sideline.
Talk about sweating through suits and shirts. And
yeah, there was no quarter zips in those days. It was
no.
Full suit jacket.
You were in suits.
And you'd have sweat stains in the first quarter.
I love it. That's the way it should be still. Get the suits back, man.
I agree.
Back.
I saw Calipari was coaching last night. He had it was Duke and Shire had the quarter zip. Duke's staff has the quarter zips on, and Calipari, the old school, with Arkansas, has got the jacket on
with the shoes that you know they're gonna slip and slide, and it's got to do it.
The
man.
Finest Italian tailoring,
as it should be.
Yeah,
professional. All right, Best Bets coming up. Dear Hazy B coming up. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.
People send in a tweet. They write us for our professional advice on life things. Dear Hazy B,
every morning my boiler has a gas leak. My wife thinks it's the baby.
Dear Hazy B.
If you want to come to Hazy B, I need honesty from you.
Hazy, you got dumped a lot. Tell him.
Grown adults with birthdays, it's asinine.
All right, Dear Hazy B, brought to you by Boston Pizza's NFL Game Day Menu. Stop by your local BP for $7 touchdown pints, dialed-in shareables, and weekly prizing up for grabs. Football game days are better at BP. And Bears holding on for dear life right now. It is a football game day right now at Boston Pizza. A lot going on. A lot of hockey, NBA, football. It's great. You mentioned golf this morning. I had someone write in and say, big golf guy, want to get in on the Black Friday deals, but buying golf clubs in November.
Ooh.
How do you know you got the right one? And it's a great question because, like, I love hitting off mats, but I know it's not real.
It's not.
Like, I am a +2 on mats. Like, the compression.
Right.
I crush golf balls.
Never miss a shot.
I never miss a shot. I move everything around. And then I get outside, and I'm a 12.
Because the lie's not flat.
Yeah.
Your feet are above the ball. Your feet are below the ball. There's grass.
It's actually wind.
Yeah.
It's actually water instead of just, a place on the screen.
Sometimes you actually play the ball where it lies, and it actually is not in a great spot.
So how do you handle this, Dave? Like, because this is a big, big day for golfers.
Yes,
this
it
is a big one. Like, you get to TaylorMade's website or Golf Town or whatever. You're like, oh, this is an interesting little thing. And buying clothes can be dangerous, too.
Oh, yeah.
Because some guys are like, you know what? I'm going to lose weight the next 4 months. I'm buying a medium. I'm going to get a medium golf shirt. It's like, you're an XL right now. It's not going to happen.
That's not going to work.
It's not going to happen.
Like, I love the ambition, but it's just not practical, bro.
No.
Like, it's not going to work.
No.
You're going to be selling those on eBay. In the
Buy your
spring.
size.
Yeah. Like you.
Dear Hazy B, buy your size.
That's great advice. And I think, to your point about can you buy clubs in the off season? I don't know, man. Like, it's, first of all, the worst thing about buying, I've done this, where you buy clubs, you get clubs in December, and you can't play for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months.
They just stare at you.
They sit there and stare at you. And I guess I did that before I was
I've done
doing
that a
any
bunch.
simulator, but simulator golf, to your point, is not real golf. So
it's a lot of fun, but it's not the real
fun.
deal.
I enjoy it and I do it, but yeah, I think in some ways it's almost better to wait and see, but the deals are hard to pass.
They're hard to pass up. And here's what I would say: similar to clothing, don't buy blades because you're going to be you think you'll be a +2 in April.
I know those guys.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I should be playing cavity backs or literally improvement clubs, not buying blades because this whole winter I'm going and I'm just going to hammer golf balls and I'm going to to be great.
Dude, I used when I was younger, I was dumb like that, and you know what? Then I got those game improvement clubs, and you literally hit shots that have no business going anywhere,
Yes.
and they go on the green.
Yes,
and it's like this thing is like it's magic,
especially in bad lies and stuff.
Yeah.
You're like, you know what? I'm not that good. I'm in deep rough. I just need to get this up in the air,
and it goes.
Yes, don't hit a blade because you
can't.
But a
blade is not going.
No, it's not going to work.
These things are like rocket ships.
Today's Best Bets powered by FanDuel. Make your picks and assemble a same-game parlay in seconds on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. I'm on the Toronto parlay tomorrow. Raps cover the number in Charlotte and the Leafs.
Ooh.
We're paying minus money right now in Pittsburgh, even though Pittsburgh's not playing and the Leafs are playing right now. Best Bets powered by FanDuel. Same-game parlay is now available for every NFL, NHL game, whatever you're playing on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Please play responsibly. 19+, physically located in Ontario. All right, Dave. Great stuff the last couple of days. Thanks for doing it.
Great
As
to
always,
be here.
Great seeing you. Dave Feschuk of the Toronto Star. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes for helping out. We appreciate it. Everyone for tuning in today. TV, radio, podcast, web, up on YouTube Live on TSN's YouTube channel. We're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy your weekends. We're back Monday at 4 p.m. We'll chat then.